welcome to the Electricians Unfiltered podcast. For Sparks Fly, whatever.
That's right. No, it's not whatever.
Some pony little channel Nick's got on the side that all these main followers follow just because they want to be part of it, but don't really watch it.
Right. So everyone that's watching this now on my channel, just let me know below. Are you doing it to just be nice, or are you actually interested? So if you don't know who this is, to the side of me, this is Sam. This is
Fat Sam, and this is a Le Spark. That will be in the show notes. You can purchase them at my store. The Spark for the electrical connoisseur.
Right. Few subjects I want to touch on. So Sam's been doing Monday Club Monday Club we've been doing for about a year. Sam's been doing the podcast, 2-3 years maybe?
Oh, do you know what, mate? I don't even know. I've done 140 episodes. So originally it started out as EGTE. Yeah. So the Electrician's Guide to Everything. And then that was with the original host and myself, Ricky Howe.
Shout out, Ricky.
Shout out to Ricky, Bearded Spark on YouTube. But he, it was just like, it's really hard to do a podcast week in, week out. It just is. Yeah. And a certain point come along and he was just like, can't be arsed no more. And then I've had some other hosts, but then we got you on it, didn't we, Nick?
Yeah, because you dropped me a message obviously when I sort of made a name for myself, and then you dropped me on one on Instagram and said, we do this, do you fancy it? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to, it'd be great, like something I've never done before. And it is true, you go back and watch the episode, we talk great to start with, and as soon as you start recording, it was like, yep, hello, my name's Nick, YouTube channel. And that is it. And you said you'll do this. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. And it's true. And towards the end of the episode, you do open up, you get better. But by the time you get good at it, it's over. And then we jumped on board. So I started we did a few tester runs, didn't we, me and you? Yeah. To test me out, really, to see if I enjoyed it, if we got better and just got talking. But obviously my confidence has grown, not just from the podcast, from YouTube, from figuring out
It took you about 50 episodes to get
brilliant. Right. Okay, cool. That's not true. But so we had Amy on. We've had loads of guests between us. Dave,
mate,
loads.
Almost anyone who's in and about the electrical influencer circle. I wouldn't say I'm an influencer by any stretch. I have the literally tiniest channel.
Sam's not. He just likes to be friends with influencers.
Yeah, I'm a hangabout.
Yeah,
as they call.
He stands by the goal waiting to just kick the ball in when it comes near.
Yeah, that's me. I've tried. Listen, it's not through lack of trying, though, is it?
Sam's done his own channel, and other than Mikey, Residual Current, who does some great commercial videos, Sam's done a few of his own in a different format, different way, and it's a great side because I don't see any of that from my own work, domestic, and it's nice to see just little snippets. And you did a few videos, especially when you took the chunk out the top of your head.
Oh, mate, that was brutal. Yeah, no, so for me, doing the old podcast and stuff, it was just like, I just love talking. I love talking and I love podcasts. It's been a thing that I've loved forever. So, it was just a natural thing. And then I got so into it, and I love doing all the thumbnails. I love doing all the editing, and I just love all that.
Because when we first spoke, I never really listened to our podcast ever. And then I got a bit of a bug from you, from talking to it. I started listening to Joe Rogan. I found loads of other guys. I then listened to Checkmate's Happy Hour, listened to that constantly. R1s, and especially if I miss an episode, if I'm off or you're off, or it's nice to catch up. And so I obviously got my headphones in and I'm listening to you at work if I'm not there to see what's missed out. And it's just great in the background. I never got podcasts to start with. I like to see visual stuff. If I'm watching something, I used to watch a lot of the podcasts originally on YouTube, like the clips. But now it's nothing nicer. Headphones in at work, just one, going about your day, listen to it. And it's great and it's really enjoyable. And you can get a lot of information, a lot of laughter out of it, especially when you work by yourself. The radio's good to a point, but there's a lot of music you don't want to listen to, or you've got some hosts that come on certain points of the day that you don't really like. If you find a good podcast that you like, and you can wander around, you can listen to it in your ear all day, you're almost not there alone.
Listen, I've got a podcast for you that I've just found. It is so captive, done so well. I'm not sure if the geezer is lying or if it's true, but I love it. I love it. It's called American Vigilante. There's only 4 episodes out at the moment, so it's about 4 hours worth of content. Honestly, it's a game changer.
What's it about?
So there's this woman who's moved out to America, and she's like bumming about as like a housewife and that. And then she decided she wanted to do a podcast. And she had some trouble with some neighbors, and they put her in contact with this guy who like deals with people. And then she went down this rabbit hole and found this other guy. What's his name? I can't remember his name anyway. And he goes round. So say your kid gets kidnapped or someone does something horrible to your family, you go and see him, and he goes and deals with it.
Right. Okay.
And he tells the stories of going to deal with these things and all the stuff they get up to. It is captivating, but I don't know if it's a lie.
Yeah, well, I listened to one. I can't remember. It dropped. You know, when you listen to certain ones and they overtake and it drops off the list. A guy who was a private detective in America. I listened to the stories about, you know, he's had to go and find people to take pictures of people cheating and the situation he gets himself into. And you're there, and sometimes I've caught myself. Like, it's most time I listen to when I'm in the unit when I'm doing some videos or whatever, tidying up. And when he gets to a point, I can see him just like stood against the desk. And I'm just waiting for him to tell me the rest of the story. And I realized, just, you know, you zone out and you're almost imagining what he's saying. And I realized I'm just stood there with like a bloody testing bag in my hand or something. But
I drove past my house the other day. I drove past my house up to the roundabout and back again because I needed to listen to the end of it.
There's a few I listen to. I like movie reviews as well. So there's two guys, American guys, called the Raiders of the Lost podcast, and they do weekly, sometimes 2 a week, films coming out, or they review films, or they go back. So I really like the Lord of the Rings trilogies and the Hobbit. So they just did an episode, like an hour-long episode of breaking down the movies and talking about it.
That sounds like death.
No, and then I found out, so Merry and Pippin, the two guys, the Hobbits.
Don't say their names ever again.
This is my channel. And those two then created their own. So they're both, one's Scottish, one's English. They both live in LA. They created their own one called The Friendship Onion. And I haven't listened to loads, and I listened to about 4 episodes, and it was great. And I was just like, I'm finding stuff that I have a lot of interest in, of characters and people that are involved so much that tell you all behind the scenes stuff or little tips and tricks what you would never have got to know.
This is the thing about podcasts, and this is what makes podcasts such
personal,
a great way of consuming your interests, basically. Yeah. And it's like, I love the fact that there's a podcast on any subject. Listen, there's one I stumbled on the other day. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have a look in a sec. It's about this skanky hoe, and like she talks about being a skank. And I was listening to it. I was like, this bird's off her nut. But it was just interesting, and not saying that that's my personal preference is skanky hoes. But it was just like, I was just like, and then so
I do good Google shit. Sorry, mate, carry on.
Yeah, you will be. So at the moment, I've got Joe Rogan, Fighter and the Kids, James English, Conspiracy Social Club, Uncle Joey's Joint, American Vigilantes, Sean Atwood True Crime Podcast, Tinfoil Hat with Sam Tripoli, Below the Belt, and I think that's all I've got on that one.
You listen to more than me, but I have a select few.
On my listen, so I have one app for like normal stuff. Then I have one app for conspiracies.
All right.
And also I've got Conspiracy Unlimited, Conspiracy Show, Grimerica, Freeman's Own, The Higher Side Chats. And I listen to all of these all week.
I think if Adam wasn't working with me, I'd listen to a lot more all the time. So I probably will have what you had. But obviously when we're working together, it's rude. Like I wouldn't do it anyway. I like to do it in between the van or the weekends or like say in the unit on Mondays. But the stuff that I listen to, like, let's say I've looked before, I love Marvel films, Marvel and DC. I love all the superhero films. I have done since I've grown up. My kids love them. And I wanted to find a podcast that spoke about them. And I typed it in and whatnot. I ended up going through about 3 or 4 different podcasts to find the right ones, because there's some people that are doing it, and the people that are listening or watching us now will know sometimes we have guests on that don't have proper microphones or headphones, and the audio is terrible. So I ended up going through a few, or I ended up going one when there was like 5 people and everybody just talked over each other. I thought, just one at a time. Come on. I've not done this for
It's
very
so
long. I
hard.
know.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, but just find a rhythm, and this is the thing with the guys Raiders of the Lost podcast. I think they're best friends. They sit together on a table, they do it, and it's seamless. And then there's little breaks, and then they have obviously the little adverts, the sponsored bits, and it just works really well. And sometimes if they don't set out to do hour episodes, it could be, oh, we've got to talk about 2 films this week. 6 minutes, we're done. On to the next one. I'll see you next week, or we'll do little filler ones. And I don't know, just sit there, like, as soon as it's ended, I'm like, I just wish there was a few more. I really, is always you wanting more. This is what I have with Jack Mate's Happy Hour podcast.
I'm exactly the same. There's some podcasts I just wish I had like 100 to listen to.
Yeah.
Like if someone stumbled onto the Joe Rogan podcast now, they got a lifetime of content.
Well, I did stumble onto it when there was a hell of a lot, but I had to pick and choose who I listened to because obviously he's American and there's a lot of American people on there. I don't know half of these people. When he got on, like we've just been on Elon Musk, when he had on, oh God, so many of like UFC fighters always had on, I'm trying to think of his name now, Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Brian Cox one. Phenomenal. Like I love the space stuff.
Don't like him.
Don't.
Brian Cox, no, I don't like him. I think he's like a plant. I think, like, honestly, I think he's some sort of disinformation guy. Does my head in.
I think the stuff he comes out, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, but listen, it's because you're a simple folk.
Oh, wow, I'm simple.
But I'll tell you who we had on there the other day that was fascinating. Amanda Knox. Now, do you remember who she was?
I know the name. Who is she?
So she was in Italy and she met a geezer out there. She was.
Oh, is this the drug smuggling girl?
No, she's in Italy. This was massive in the news back in the day. This was massive in the news.
Boyfriend died or something like that.
No. So what happened was she went out there and she's staying in, she was studying at uni out there or something. And she staying in, and in her room that she was sharing was a girl called Meredith Kircher, who used to live like 10 minutes from my house.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I didn't know her, but she come from Coulsdon. So it's quite well known in my area. Anyway, Amanda Knox was, she was convicted and then won her appeal, but she's convicted of sexual murder. Like, so her and her boyfriend and this other geezer was said to have like done all naughtiness with her and then killed her. But it wasn't. So what actually
this was in the news about 15 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she done 7 years in prison over it all, but she was innocent the whole time, and like they had DNA evidence, they had all this evidence, and they just went, nah, it's her, just because the prosecutor just got it in his head it was her. Yeah. Essentially, is what happened, and then and it's just like listening to her side of the story, because really, this is one of the things that really does my head in, actually, and it's quite topical, is the British press are awful. They're amongst the worst in the world for integrity. Like they just sort of jump on something and they run with it and without any consequence. So they force people to suicide. They force people and then they go, "Oh, we're really sorry." Like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like this whole petrol crisis is purely because of stupid headlines from the Sun and Sky News hyping everything up.
Yeah.
But in Italy at the time, the president of Italy at the time was Berlusconi, I think, right? And he was basically in charge of all the media and TV stations. And they were all like hyped up, and he was like, he would always have like loads of birds around him, and like he'd throw all these parties with all like sex parties and stuff. It was nightmare. So his journalists had no integrity really out there, and so she got condemned quite quickly. They started calling her Foxy, Noxy, and all that sort of stuff. And it was just a really interesting podcast about her side of the story, because it's unequivocal that she is innocent. She is 100% innocent. But going back to my rant, when you think about like the media in this country, it is nonsense, isn't it? Like
A lot of
we've
it.
just had a
Now, the
petrol-
older I get, the more I see through it. Yeah.
we've just had a petrol crisis, right? And then they're talking about now there's going to be no meat at Christmas. So what's going to
Oh, I've
happen
not
with
heard
that?
this.
1 million people are going to start going out buying meat now because you've got a lot of dumb people that cause the issue, and then the people who ain't dumb, who actually need petrol, have to go and now sit in a queue because all these dumb people have gone out and filled up plastic bags.
It's even like
stuff.
now, it's the smart people that now go, I need to go and buy this because the dumb people are going to buy it all. So then it just creates more.
Yeah,
it makes it worse.
It's not like you can opt out and be like, well, I just won't have petrol then because I'm smarter than everyone else. And then you've got all the dumb people driving around. Because that would be dumb, wouldn't it?
I know.
So how do you win that? And these are the things that drive me insane.
But this is loads of stuff that I've picked up from podcasts. It's listening to people's opinions and scientists and everything that I would never have heard or seen of, and hearing their side of the story for a good hour in my ear with no interruptions. And you almost, it's self-learning, and every day you learn something different from podcasts.
So this takes
Other than
me to
listen to
another
me
subject. This takes me to another subject. So it sounds really sad, and I don't know. Growing up, I've never been very sure of myself, so I act out like I am sure of myself.
Yeah.
So everyone who knows me knows that's true. But the reality is, when I first started listening to Joe Rogan and the way he was thinking, so I've always been quite a reactive type of guy. So I will easily be react in a very macho, stupid way, which is how I've always been. But when you listen to someone like Joe Rogan, who's, incredibly macho, very strong, very like good fighting skills, all that stuff that looks like a meathead. All right, he's 5'5", but whatever, looks like a meathead, kicks like a mule, but he's got this sensitive side, and he's got this way of thinking, and he's intelligent, but he's also rough around the edges and intelligent at the same time. And it sort of showed you how to sort of create a mindset and like a different way of thinking for me, just listening to hours and hours of Joe Rogan. Yeah. And then there's another guy who is part of the circle of Joe Rogan's circle called Brendan Sharp, who went from being a broke bitch fighter to a multi-millionaire now. And I've followed that journey. And I followed how like interesting how he went from being, he wasn't dumb, but he wasn't book smart in terms of like he hadn't read lots. He didn't have much money, but he took Fighting the Kid and made millions and millions of pounds out of it. And they'd done their first deal. So when it first come out, he wanted to do a line of merchandise, so t-shirts, Fighting the Kid t-shirts. So he had to borrow £2,000 off of Brian Callen, his co-host, to go and get these t-shirts done. Doubled his money. Instead of paying Brian back with it, he said, listen, let's do it again. We doubled down. Kept doubling down. Before he knew it, they was making like £10,000 a month just from t-shirts.
Yeah.
And then the show was getting bigger, and then they created like the Fighting the Kid Army, and then they went out on the road and they done Fighting the Kid Live, and then it just turned into this big thing. And then years later he created Fit Boy Bike Club, then he created the Fit Boy whatever, and like it just turned it into like this conglomerate of stuff from his podcast. And I'm so fascinated with that story, and I'd love to be able to recreate it on like just 1%, like the success he had from taking a podcast from
what it is to what it can be. I know,
mate. He monetized. He's got studios now. He does 3 or 4 different podcasts. It is phenomenal what he's done, and I've watched that journey from episode 1 right through to, I don't know, I think there were like, I don't know, hundreds of episodes now.
Yeah.
And I find like with this sort of stuff, you can listen to something, you can like, so say you're listening to Joe Rogan and there's someone in there that you don't know. Just a conversation, you'll get something from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just two passionate people having a conversation.
Subject that you've not much interest in or knowledge of, you're going to pick something up.
Like he has a geezer on there all the time who talks about sourdough bread, right? Sourdough bread. I don't care. But they have such interesting conversations on other things.
Yeah, you're looking to buy sourdough bread now. I'll
No,
make
I'm
you
not.
vote.
Listen, I bought that silly bow and arrow on my roof because Joe Rogan got into bows and arrows. I bought it. It was like 600 quid. And then,
You don't use it. But I find with most of the things that I watch, not so much the reviews, but any other podcast, I come away almost excited, like trying to expand myself. I learn from each one, and now I've started doing it with you. I almost listen to how the questions are asked, how what the thought processes are, how the answering back is timed right, and do you know what I mean? It's just a learning process for us. But I'm then hungry to explore where it can go, and that's what I like about it, because every different conversation we have, it's never going to be the same.
this is the other thing is as well. It's these conversations also. So over the 140 episodes I've done of electrical podcast, electricians Monday Club, I'm a lot smarter than I about just the knowledge that the people I've spoken to. Like
Yeah.
you got to remember, I've spoken to people like we've had Mark on as a co-host for months and
Mark
months.
Allison, yeah, Apprentice 1-to-1.
Mark Allison,
Awesome
Apprentice
guy.
1-to-1. Go follow him. Power Sonic, Mark Allison YouTube, mate. No one on this. Listen, I don't care what people say. There's no one smarter than Mark with the regs and the knowledge on the tip of their tongue at any one point. And I've had the pleasure. Same with Neil. Neil comes across as a bit of an arse online, but actually,
he's a nice guy, and he's very knowledgeable.
He's a most sensible-minded, knowledgeable person, and I've had the pleasure of having hundreds of hours of conversations with them, and it's rubbed off on me, and it's made me more like, all right, relax, I'm not.
And it's made them dumber, which is bad.
Exactly. But it's allowed me to expand my knowledge, having conversations about electrical stuff.
Yeah,
I actually surprise myself sometimes. I'm like, well, how did I know that?
I know it's true, and I'm rubbing shoulders with myself, like Dave Savory.
Another one.
Love Dave to bits. And any point in the day, if I need any advice, ring Dave up.
Yeah,
I've rang Mark up before. Loads of guys, and this is the nice thing with YouTube, that most of us YouTubers all speak to each other. If there's any advice we need, any chat, pick up the phone. Or if not, worse comes and I go, no one's answering, I'll stick something on Instagram or YouTube, and then I've got thousands of people to give me their opinion. It's awkward when you do it that way, because you get overwhelmed with messages and you end up missing certain ones or whatnot. It is difficult to keep on top, because if I put a post on Instagram and said, bell transformer for a Ring doorbell, what voltage is it? I could get 1,000 messages back, and you almost feel rude because I don't reply to everyone.
Mate. If I put it out, I might get one.
You know what I mean, though. But no, it's just I wanted to have this conversation with you. Me and you do a lot in the background with the podcast. We want to do some more stuff. We want to branch out just from doing electricians podcast too, which is why we're doing Unfiltered. We want to change and do, like we've just done previous to recording this, a silly episode about Elon Musk, like stuff that you and me find interesting that we like.
Yeah, and honestly, if one person listens to it, I don't care. Like I'm doing it because I like talking about these subjects. Yeah. Like either it doesn't matter if no one watches it. It's just fun. Like I want to talk about it. Honestly,
if I talk to Adam about this, he just rolls his eyes and goes, I don't care. It's like,
yeah, no, he
will listen to me. He will.
Yeah, you got to take it in. But no, it's like I don't really believe 99% of conspiracy theories. No. I just enjoy them.
I enjoy where they come from, how the mindset has evolved to someone saying Elon Musk is an alien. Okay, well, I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it's just nonsense.
Yeah, but it's enjoyable. It's not hurting anyone. It's a theory and conspiracy where it could be true, maybe.
Exactly.
Probably not, but it's nice.
Do you know what's really good? I don't know if you've done this, but about 10 years ago, I stopped reading newspapers. Completely stopped reading newspapers.
Never read them.
Then, like, when you get on the train out in London and stuff, there's a free newspaper called Metro.
The Metro. Yeah, Metro.
So you just pick that up and you look at it, whatever. Or you'd have Sky News app on your phone.
No.
I got rid of all of it, and I don't even watch the news anymore. Like, I stopped watching the news about 3 years ago as well. And I stopped. So sometimes things are going on in the world I have no idea about.
Well, I've not told anyone yet, but as of yesterday, I deleted Facebook.
Why? Because it's a toxic wasteland.
I am just sick of it. Everything, and I spend a lot of time on my phone, on my iPad, on my Mac. We all know that. I do stuff all the time. But Facebook was the only one that I would scroll through. I had a stupid amount of friends, people you accepted over the years that you don't really know or care about, and you just have them on there. I would scroll through it, I'm looking through it, I'm looking through it, I'm looking through it, and you just think, I'm just wasting my time, my family time, because I could do it while I'm at home. Obviously, I do it at work sometimes, I'm a lunch break, and looking at the stuff that was on it about the news. And a lot of the time, I used to really like Lad Bible. When it was first out, it was about laddie stuff, and then it turned into a news outlet of absolute garbage. And then that was most of the time where I'd see my news would be on Lad Bible. I was like, what am I doing? And I was going through it the other day, and my mate, very good mate, Aaron, he just like the other day, he was like, I'm sick of it, and deleted it. And we'd spoken about it, and I was like, oh, this, that, and the other. And then the other day I looked at it and I thought, and I must have been on it for about 5 minutes while Adam was trying to talk to me, and I was being rude, and I was like, it's gone. So I just deleted it all. And I thought, this is toxic.
I've done something quite similar to that on all of my accounts. So obviously I've got the show accounts and stuff like that. And then I've got my personal ones. And on my personal ones, what I've done is I've locked them down completely. Don't even have I do have my normal name, but not on some of them where you don't need to have your normal name. I don't.
Yeah, you have a username, yeah.
Yeah, and then so my personal Twitter, I've got rid of. Yeah. My Facebook, what I've done is I locked it down so you can't find me, and then I took anyone who wasn't actually my friend or someone I wanted to talk to. I took them out.
Yeah.
And I scaled it right down. I come out of all of the groups, all of the things I was following. And basically I follow about 50 people now. Or I'm friends with 50 people, most of which are family and people you can't not follow. And the rest, and I use it for Facebook Marketplace. I really like Facebook.
Well, this is it. My other half, because she's even on about doing the same thing. And I said, no, just leave yours, just in case, we order you buy something on Facebook Marketplace. And that's it. But what I found weird as well, which makes sense, last year when Adam was on the van, I was like, I'll just go Marketplace, we have to pick whatever it was. He was like, where's that? I was like, at the bottom in the middle of your app. It's not. I said, update it. But because he wasn't 18, and he'd obviously put his correct date of birth in Facebook, he wasn't allowed Marketplace to buy and sell stuff. I never knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I did the same with my LinkedIn. I actually closed my LinkedIn and started a new one, just because I had like 8,000 connections on there, and like people think that's good.
I looked at Mark's the other day; it's like 66,000. I was like,
"Yeah, listen, Mark's a powerhouse. Trust me, Mark's a powerhouse." But I just didn't want all them people. So now I have a strategic one. So anyone on my LinkedIn,
the one you invited me to the other day,
definitely didn't. But that's not me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, because I don't use it. And every now and then when I go in it like once a month, there's like 100 people that want to connect. I'm like, yep. And then I realized that I've accepted to go to 3 different events. I was like, oh, nope.
No, all I do is, I've got a certain type of person I want on there for business purposes. And outside of that, not interested.
Yeah.
Don't add me. Don't add me. If you're just an electrician or something, in the nicest way, that's business platform.
Yeah. I just got it when I started YouTube. Someone said it was a good idea and just rolled with it. But anyway, let's roll this up. If you're on obviously you're watching my channel, Sparksfly. If you haven't already, go over to Monday Club. We'll put all the links below. Go and subscribe. We put 2 videos out every week. So on the Monday morning, what was it, 6:30-ish?
5:30.
5:30. We've got the video out. So it'd be me and Sam. Sometimes it'd be Kimmy or a guest or vice versa about electrical stuff. And Summer sometimes. Craig, we sort of jump around. We're making it a bit smaller. Going to try and do me and Sam with one other person every now and then, just to get a bit more of a conversation, a bit more technical if we can. And then Wednesdays we will drop an Unfiltered, which will be just me and him chatting about whatever we want. And you do quickfire questions to some guests. Is that Friday?
Yeah, so Fridays is quickfire questions. I'll start doing some shorts, so look out for them. I don't know how well they're going to be going or how many I'm going to be doing, but we're trying to get a bit of content out every day, so whatever.
Yeah. yeah, so go and show it some love. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
Do your little bye thing.
No, I'll do you and you do me.
Oh, we're out.
Bye.
Can't remember how you do it. Bye. Don't do it like that.
Bye.
Bye.